What,
What's woke?
is woke military, Scott?
Well, I think conservatives and Republicans have long believed that the military has taken on a lot of the worst properties of corporate America and gotten away from the core mission, which is fighting and winning wars and defending
those properties
the United
are?
States. All of the HR properties that have divided this country for the last several years when it comes to promoting, these soldiers are not, cultural guinea pigs. They're soldiers. They're there to fight and win wars and defend America, and that should be the point. And regarding this order, which I don't think we've actually seen, the issue is he's the commander-in-chief. We have a civilian-led military. The generals at the top of the military do need to have the capacity to execute our defense policy and his vision for how we defend this nation. And if they can't do that, then that's a problem. And they should not be trying to substitute their own judgment. So there is some, I think, utility in the commander-in-chief reviewing the people at the top of the military and saying, can we work together? I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I didn't really hear an answer to my question,
Yeah.
but go ahead, Nikole.
Let me just say, for one, that the military has long been woke. For instance, the military was the first institution in the United States to integrate. It was one of the first places to have integrated housing, to enforce integrated schools on the base, to actually enforce the fair housing law when people were trying to rent to soldiers and saying if someone were found violating that law, that the military could not allow any soldiers. So the idea that there's something wrong with being woke, when in fact what that means is a military that's trying to reflect a multiracial country that has a lot of different types of people who have to come together and learn how to work together in the national defense. Actually, racial polarization is bad for military strength, and it's been used against this country many times by our adversaries, including in recent elections. So I think this idea that we can purge woke from the military is actually ahistoric, and I also think it's dangerous because while he's saying he's going to purge woke, what he really wants is to purge any generals who might actually stop him from using the military against the American people and in ways that the military is not supposed to be used.
Such as he threatened with General Milley, that he didn't like what General Milley said, and he decided he would like to see General Milley court-martialed because of what he advocates and what he said about President Trump. First of all, the military, we've seen time and again, is the most admired institution in the United States. And not only is it admired, it's things that we really criticize. For instance, the Iraq War, it's not the product of the military. It's the product of the President of the United States. Vietnam, disaster. That was not the product of GIs or generals. It was the product of the President of the United States. So the whole idea of the military being corrupted by these generals, in fact, the kind of education, military and historic and diplomacy and warfare that these generals get is probably the most unique education system in our culture
But
today.
I don't understand what you mean by woke. You're talking about racial integration, and I think that makes sense. But is that what you define woke as? I'm curious.
Well, I was referring to the
I don't know, I'm
criticism
referring to what he
of
said.
General Milley.
I think what President Trump and what a lot of Republicans are fearful of is that the core mission of the military, to fight wars and to defend the country, sometimes takes a back seat to trying to overlay social and cultural programming into the military that is commonly found at universities, commonly found in corporate America.
Where's the evidence,
And
though?
maybe it's
I think
fine for that.
that's the question that I have.
But that's what he resists in the federal bureaucracy, specifically in the military.
Is there some truth in that?
That's what he
Is
that's
there
his
some
policy.
That he
and that's what
just
he
wants to control it for himself so he can use it as he pleases. And we're using that
Just
term as
name the
woke for
woke
himself.
policies.
What
I'm
are the
gonna
woke
say,
policies that are
that's
used?
the question.
Are you referring to DEI?
What are the policies?
Yeah, I would say he would specifically name DEI.
And how has that harmed
How is that harmful?
the military prowess? Name something specific.
I think he would probably say, I mean, I don't speak for him, but I think he would probably say that any policy that doesn't prioritize getting the military into a position to fight wars and defend America, anything else that's ancillary to that,
What
or
does
that may be
DEI have to do with that,
or that
though?
may be detrimental to that, should be set aside. That's what he believes.
So you have no actually
TW,
specific
I know you want to get
examples.
in there.
I just want to get more to a core issue, and I feel kind of foolish bringing up history sitting next to the esteemed Carl Bernstein, but I think you would agree that it's not unusual for a president to have deep distrust on his military apparatus at a
Well,
degree.
MacArthur
Right.
and Truman.
Absolutely.
Certainly.
And the article, the Wall Street Journal's article, cites George Marshall's plan where he was plucking out senior officers to replace with junior officers. There is a precedent for the commander-in-chief, and through his ancillaries, to push for a clearing of house. Now, a lot of presidents talk about it. He's the only one who's going to act on it.
The president has the authority to begin with.
Right.
This is a fake to begin with. This is about show trials.
Let me just speak to the elephant in the room.
I would not go that far.
This is about a show trial.
Let me just add one thing here. I think that what everybody's dancing around is when Trump and his allies say, we're going to go after woke in the military. Usually woke is a code name for diversity. Diversity is a code for people of color. There are already not that many people of color in the 3- and 4-star general ranks. So if that is the mandate, to go after people who care about diversity, what do you think is going to be the end result of that?
I don't think that's true.
I just think we should contemplate what is the end result of Trump going after 3- and 4-star generals. There are not that many of them. Not that many of them that are people of color. Anyone who prioritizes diversity in the military is going to be on the chopping block.
I think we're all on our jump to conclusions, Matt's here, if you want to talk about office space. I think we haven't seen the order. We don't know what's going to come of this. What we do know is that Donald Trump has said he would like to have generals at the top of the military who see eye to eye with him about our national defense policy and the posture of our armed forces. That's what we know.
We just played the clip where he talked about...
And to jump ahead of that...
We just played the clip, Scott, where he talked about woke 1,000 times. You cannot take that out of the equation. That is a big part of the mandate.
I'm not taking it out of the equation.
And so the question is, what is the concrete consequence of it for a military that is already struggling with adequately promoting people who are already within their ranks, right? And are not making it up to those high ranks.
My assumption is that the consequence will be that the generals who want to execute on the commander-in-chief's vision will be just fine, and the people who just can't see eye to eye with the concept of a civilian military won't. That's my view.
Military, if you are not waving a Donald Trump flag,
Correct. No. Yeah.
I mean, this is
short.
If you read the Wall Street Journal article, there are people quoted in there who talk about this.
Well, the chief staff
of
the Air Force has cited that this is aimed partly at him and to make an example of him. Now, I don't know that that's the case, but he is someone
C.Q. Brown, who's
who indeed has spoken
man,
about his experience as a black aviator.
Yeah.
And apparently this has pissed off the former president of the United States. And
one of the other
president
reasons
has remarked on it.
We wanted to talk about this is because, I mean, obviously in the postmortems of this election, Nikole, there's a lot of conversation even among Democrats about whether the message, the anti-woke message worked and was the main vehicle, actually, to bring Trump back to the White House, convincing I think he did about as well with white voters this time as he did the last time, but convincing actually more voters of color, particularly Hispanic men and women, to vote for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's been interesting to see all the postmortems. First argument was this was a vote on economic anxiety. Now it's changed to this being a vote, an anti-woke vote, which we can't even define what that means.
Correct.
When I hear anti-woke, I hear anti-black.
That's all I hear.
And we should also be very clear, as I tweeted about or posted about earlier this week, is that Latino is not a racial group. Latino is a broad category that includes people across the racial spectrum from many different countries, and some of them also self-identify as white. In fact, the majority of Latinos self-identify as white. So it shouldn't be shocking that some of them also are enamored by that message and vote on that message. But my thing is, when we are talking about what is actually woke or anti-woke, the same people who are making that argument are saying the Democrats lost on identity politics. Well, the anti-woke argument is identity politics. It is white identity politics, and that is what Trump was selling, and that's what a lot of people are buying.
And
so we should just be honest about that.
I think we should be honest. I don't think that's out of line for her to say, and Scott, I saw you shake your head. It's not odd for her to say anti-woke sounds like anti-black. It does sound as if it is about a group of people that you do not want in your party, at your top, with your workforce.
Did you see the election results? results?
Yeah, I did
We
see
just
the
put- we
re-election
just
results,
put-
but if
we
you
just put
think
the
that
biggest
let me ask you a
multiracial
question.
coalition together
Let me
in the
ask you a
history of the
question. When
Republican
you
Party.
say anti-woke, when you say woke, do you think about a certain class of people, a certain group of people outside of yourself? I'm just asking you that question. It sounds like that to me because I am a black woman and I'm speaking from my experience. So I'm asking you from your experience. When you hear anti-woke or woke, does that identify a group of people? That's all I'm asking you, because I'm asking you to help me understand so I know what you're saying.
I mean, I tend to think about hyper-liberal people who have a fundamental disregard for, the underpinnings about founding of our country, and who want to fundamentally change our society in ways that are not in line with a vast majority of the American citizens. That's what I tend to think about.
Such as what?
And what is the vast majority of American citizens?
I would say the vast majority of American citizens in this case want the military to do one thing: fight and win wars and defend this nation. And I would suspect what they want the commander-in-chief to do is find generals and find leadership for the Pentagon that also agrees with that.